Now we will solve question number 23. The question number 23 says that the sun is hot plasma ionized matter with its inner core at a temperature exceeding 10 raised to 7 Kelvin. Its outer surface at a temperature of about 6000 Kelvin. At these high temperatures, no substance remains in solid or liquid phase. In what range do you expect the mass density of sun to be? In the range of densities of solids and liquids or gases. So check if your guess is correct from the following data. Mass of the sun is given as 2 into 10 raised to 30 kg, and the radius of the sun is 7.0 into 10 raised to 8 meter. So basically, you can find out the density. Density will be nothing but density of sun will be nothing but mass divided by volume, or we can write it as 2 into 10 raised to 30 kg divided by 4 by 3 pi r cube. R is 7.0 into 10 raised to 8. And this is pi r cube. So this will be like this. And this will be, of course, meter cube. So you can find out this calculation and just see, compare with the densities of solids and liquids. As far as liquid is concerned, what is the density of water? It is 1 gram per cc, or we can write it as 10 raised to 3 kg per meter cube. Correct? Just see the answer. It will be basically the density will lie between solids and liquids, because though it will be in the form of temperature is very high, but in this fashion also very dense liquid closing to solids will be there. This you can compare, you can Google the density of the liquids and solids main material, and you can compare with that. Now we will go to the next question. When the planet Jupiter is at a distance of 824.7 million kilometer from the Earth, its angular diameter is measured to be 35.7 inch of arc. Calculate the diameter of the Jupiter. So here Jupiter is given. Suppose this is Jupiter and this is your Earth. This is your Earth. Here this diameter of Jupiter, we can denote it by B. This is subtending an angle of 35.72 arc. This is double. Okay. So this distance we are given. This is D, distance between the Earth and Jupiter, and this is nothing but 824.7 into 10 raised to 6 kilometer. It is billion. Okay. So again, what is our formula? That theta is nothing but B upon D. So B you can find out theta into D. D is given and theta is given in arc. So you can convert it in radian. 35.27 arc. Convert it into radian and put the value here, put the value of D, you will get the diameter of the Jupiter. So it's very simple. Calculation part you can do. Now we will go to the next question, that is 25th question. A man walking briskly in rain with speed V must slant his umbrella forward, making an angle theta with the vertical. A student drives the following relation between theta and V, that is tan theta is equal to V. Tan theta is equal to V. Now, with the principle of dimensional homogeneity, this equation is incorrect because its dimensions LT minus 1, whereas this is dimensionless. So naturally, this is not homogeneous. So this is an incorrect equation. For finding out the correct relation, let us see what is happening. This is the direction of the rain and this is the direction of the man. Correct? Suppose this is V dash. Now what is the direction of the rain with respect to the man walking? For finding out this, what we have to do, we will have a minus V here. This V is extended like this and there will be resultant of this. So basically this is the resultant and this will be the angle theta. So this tan theta will be nothing but your V upon V dash. Correct? This is a problem of relative motion. This we will study in the relative velocity chapter, how it has come. But here you can understand this is the resultant velocity with respect to of the rain with respect to the man, and in this direction he will slant the umbrella. So this is the correct relation, and this is dimensionally homogeneous also, because these two are velocities, and this is having LT minus 1 dimension, this is also having LT minus 1, both cancels out, and this is a dimensional less. So this is giving the correct relation. Correct? I hope you understood this. Now we will go to the next question. It is claimed that two cesium clocks, if allowed to run for 100 years, free from any disturbance, may differ by only 0.02 second. What does this imply for accuracy of the standard cesium clock in measuring a time interval of 1 second? So in this case, basically in 100 years, what is the error? It is coming only this. This is the relative error you are experiencing. Correct? This is the error you are experiencing. So in 1 second, how much will be the error? Or we can say in this period, this much error is coming. So naturally accuracy of this will be nothing but for measuring 1 second. This is the accuracy, one part in so many parts. This is how it will come, and it will be a positive large figure. So this shows it is highly accurate. This calculation part you can do. Correct? Now let us see the next question. Estimate the average mass density of a sodium atom assuming its size to be about 2.5 angstrom. Use the known values of Avogadro's number and the atomic mass of sodium. Compare it with mass density of sodium in its crystalline phase, 970 kg per meter cube. Are the two densities of the same order or magnitude? If so, why? So in this case, the same thing. Average mass density of sodium atom, we have to calculate. So what is the size? Size is 2.5 angstrom, or you can write it as 2.5 into 10 raised to minus 10 meter. So radius will be 1 by 2 into 2.5 into 10 raised to minus 10 meter, or we can write it as 1.25 into 10 raised to minus 10 meter. So this is the radius. So now in 1 mole How many atoms will be there? One mole of sodium. Its mass will be 23 gram, or 23 into 10 raised to minus 3 kilogram. Correct? And in 1 mole, how many atoms are there? Or we can say, what is the mass of the one atom? Mass of one atom will be nothing but 23 into 10 raised to minus 3 kg divided by your Avogadro number, because in this, these many atoms will be there. So this is the mass of one atom. Now mass density of sodium, atomic mass, we have to find out average mass density of sodium atom. So mass density of sodium atom will be nothing but mass of one atom divided by volume of one atom, and volume of one atom is nothing but 4 by 3 pi r cube. R we know 1.25 into 10 raised to minus 10 pi r cube. Okay, you can find out this, compare it with line 70, because this will be in kg, it is meter cube, so it will be your answer will be kg upon meter cube. So we can easily compare with this and just see. I think it will be comparable, because in solids atoms are closely spaced. Basically, it is not just like gases. So just compare it and just see what is the answer. Now let us see what is question number 28. The unit of length convenient on the nuclear scale is a Fermi. That is 1 Fermi is equal to 10 raised to minus 15 meter. Nuclear sizes obey roughly the following empirical formula. That is R is equal to R0 A 1 by 3, where A is mass number. What is mass number? Mass number is nothing but the number of proton plus number of neutrons in a nuclei. R0 is constant, equal to 1.2 Fermi. So that the rule implies that nuclear mass density is nearly constant for different nuclei. So here what will happen? This is nothing but 1.2 A 1 by 3 into 10 raised to minus 15 meter. Now, what will be the nuclear mass density? Nuclear mass density will be nothing but what is the mass of the nucleus? Mass of the nucleus is nothing but we can say mass, but whatever mass number is there into 1.67 into 10 raised to minus 27 kg. What is this? This is nothing but 1 AMU is equal to 1.67 into 10 raised to minus 27. Okay. And this can be taken as the mass of one nuclei, because this is nothing but it is the mass of one hydrogen atom, and hydrogen nuclei has only one proton. There is no neutron. So this can be assumed as a mass of one nuclei, and since if we multiply this by mass number, this will give you the mass of the one nuclei of sodium nucleus. So this is the mass divided by 4 by 3 pi r cube. R cube is nothing but r0 a 1 by 3 cube into 10 raised to minus 15, of course. This also cube. Here you see a, it is a 1 by 3 and it is cube sign is there. So a, it will be a only, and here a, so a cancels out. So ultimately what remains is the constant only. Divided by 4 by 3 pi into 10 raised to minus 15. So just see, this shows that the density of nuclei is independent, is nearly constant for any nuclei. So this is what we have to show, so that the rule implies that nuclear mass is nearly constant for different nuclei. Means this is constant for any element is there, but this will be constant. So this is what we have to show. Now estimate the mass density of sodium nucleus. Compare it with the average mass density of sodium atom obtained in experiment. So this you can always find out mass density of sodium nucleus, and then you can compare it with the mass density of sodium atom as we have found out in the previous question. So just compare it. So this was. Now we will go to the next question. Now we come to question number 29. says a laser is a source of very intense monochromatic unidirectional beam of light. These properties of a laser light can be exploited to measure long distances. The distance of the moon from the earth has been already determined very precisely using a laser as a source of light. A laser light beamed at moon takes 2.56 seconds to return from reflection at the moon surface. How much is the radius of the lunar orbit around the earth? So now your laser beam, this goes to moon and this distance, this going and coming back to the source, this distance, this takes in 2.56 seconds. That means only in going it will have the time of only 1 by 2 of 2.56 seconds. Correct? Means this is 1.28 second. Means it takes 1.28 second, this laser light, to beam it from earth and reaching to moon. And this is what is orbit. So this is small. If you see, this is what is orbit. So how much is the radius? Suppose if you note this thing, so light is traversing this distance on one side. It is in 1.28 second. So what will be this distance basically? Distance or radius, whatever you call it, it will be nothing but 3 into 10 raised to 8. That is speed of light into 1.28 second. So this will be the distance it is the radius of the orbit of the moon which is rotating around earth. Let us see the next question. A sonar, that is sound navigation ranging, uses ultrasonic waves to detect and locate objects underwater. In a submarine equipped with sonar, the time delay between the generation of a probe wave and the reception of its echo after reflection from an enemy submarine is found to be 77 seconds. That means one submarine is there, another submarine is there. It propagates a wave like this and then it reflects back. This is called echo. Sonar means this is basically sound waves. And the reflection of the sound wave, this is called echo. This whole time, it takes 77 seconds. That means for one side, the sound waves takes How much? Only this much second. We are given speed of the sound in water. So again, the distance of the enemy's submarine will be nothing but 145. It is given into 77. So this will be the answer. This is the distance in meters. Now next question. The farthest objects in our universe discovered by modern astronomers are so distant that light emitted by them takes billions of years to reach the Earth. These objects, known as quasars, have many puzzling features which have not yet been satisfactorily explained. What is the distance in kilometer of a quasar from which light takes 3 billion years to reach us? So basically, what is the time? It is given as 3 billion year. It will be nothing but 3 into 10 raised to 9. Million is 10 raised to 6. Billion is 10 raised to 9. And again, year is nothing but 365 into 24 into 36. This is in second. This is time. This is in second. So what is the distance in kilometer a quasar from which light? So distance of the quasar will be nothing but 3 into 10 raised to 8 because speed of the light is meter per second into 3 into 9 into 365 into 24 into 3. So this is how this will give you the answer in meters. Correct? It was very simple question. Now let us see. It is a well-known fact that during a solar eclipse, the disk of moon almost completely covers the disk of sun. From this fact and from the information you can gather from example 2.3 and 2.4, determine the approximate diameter of the moon. So basically, let us understand what is the problem. This is your sun and its rays are, and suppose this is your earth. This is your sun. Now, during solar eclipse, what happens? Disk of moon almost completely covers the disk of sun. So that means this is the disk of moon. This completely covers the, so that no light is coming and you experience the darkness even the during the daytime when the solar eclipse occurs. So these distances distance of the sun from the earth, this distance of the moon from the earth, these distances you can see from the question book, or you can Google it, and suppose this is the diameter of sun, and this is the diameter of moon, then of course you can, by this formula, diameter of moon divided by distance of moon will be equal to diameter of sun divided by distance of sun from the earth. So these three distances you can see from the book, and you can find out the diameter of the moon which is asked, or these will be given in the question. So basically this was the fundamental thing in this question. So I hope you must have seen all the solutions. I have given you hints and approximately all the calculations of the questions, all the questions of this first chapter. Now we will proceed to the next chapter. My next video will be theory part of the next chapter, and then of course the question part, hints and solutions like this, what we have covered in the similar fashion. So if you like this video, please do subscribe my channel. Till then, goodbye. Thank you very much.